Soon, we'll be witnessing the inauguration of the next president of the United States. And with this, there's an opportunity for change. Real, impactful change. President Trump has the opportunity to change the conversation about guns forever. And today, all of us gun activists, that's you and me, are going to call on him to do just that. In this video, I'll be laying out what steps the incoming Trump admin can take to help stop violent crime in the United States without banning a single firearm. Gun owners have to push Republicans to take these actions, or else the Democrats are going to kickstart the gun control debate on their own terms and pressure President Trump to ban the next bump stock. Hey guys, I'm Tiffany and you're watching One in the Chamber, the show that helps you become a better gun rights activist. And before we get into this video, let me just take a second to tell you about GOA's alerts. Now more than ever, we need to be vigilant in standing up for the Second Amendment. Just because Republicans control all three branches of government doesn't mean that we don't need to hold them accountable to the promises that they've made and the Constitution. Signing up for GOA's alerts will help you do just that. We'll keep you up to date with all the fights that affect you from the federal level all the way down to the state and local levels. Sign up today at gunowners.org. Now back to the video. For the past 4 years, the Biden-Harris admin has scapegoated rising violent crime as a result of their failed policies by targeting gun owners. In the mind of the bureaucrats who make up the Biden administration, the only way to fight that rising crime rate has been to ban as many firearms as possible and turn law-abiding citizens into criminals overnight. We know this is not the case. In fact, it's quite the opposite. When Americans are armed, crime rates drop. As the saying goes, more guns equals less crime. Anti-gun activists love to paint the pro-gun side as heartless gun nuts that care about firearms more than anything else. And while we do believe the Second Amendment protects all the other amendments in the Constitution, we believe that the problem with gun violence can be solved without banning firearms. In fact, the argument about banning guns really serves to distract from the actual issue. Listen to firearms legend Paul Harrell's take on this situation.
This particular fiction that guns exist now and guns adequate to the task didn't exist back then, that guns are easier to get now than they were back then, is, in my opinion, the most destructive of the four barriers to effective communication, because just about any time anyone brings up the question, why are these mass shootings occur? Someone will immediately say, because guns are so easy to get. Okay, when you do that, it always turns into a debate about gun control when it really shouldn't be. When you do that, you're perpetrating a fiction. And instead of having a meaningful dialogue, we all have to stop and refute your fiction.
So, given the massive failure of the Biden administration and their allies in other Democrat-run cities and states in getting violent crime under control, it falls to the president-elect and the incoming Congress to take concrete steps to stop violent crime and make America safe again. First, the Trump administration should immediately scrap the failed White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. This team of gun control lobbyists turned bureaucrats serves as nothing more than a pipeline for gun control plans to go straight from the billionaire-funded gun control groups like Everytown right to the administrative agencies like the ATF. Regulatory capture, anyone? Besides the glaring ideological bias coming from the office itself, the Office of Gun Violence Prevention didn't do anything to earn up to its lengthy title. Instead, the Office of Harassing Law-Abiding Citizens and Implementing Ineffective Policy may have been more apt title for it. The incoming Trump administration should replace the Office of Gun Violence Prevention with a specialized team to prepare for the real war effort on violent crime. While Trump's cabinet will not immediately be in place to execute the mission of cleaning up crime, the new office could be. And like the proposed Department of Government Efficiency to be headed by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, this team would inform President Trump of the pro-crime, pro-illegal immigration, and anti-gun policies and bureaucrats, programs, and offices that will try to halt his agenda. This new office could be called the White House Office of Violent Crime Prevention. Next, the Trump administration should redirect the Department of Justice's attention towards real criminals, rather than the innocent Americans who face prosecution for lawfully owning guns or attending school board meetings. During the Biden admin, many federal prosecutors decided not to prosecute crime. In the District of Columbia alone, 500 known criminals commit 70% of violent gun-related crimes. Yet in 2022, the U.S. Attorney declined to prosecute 2/3 of those arrested by D.C. police. It's no wonder why crime is up 40% in the nation's capital year over year. This insane increase in crime is then weaponized against gun owners and regular Americans, with anti-gun lawmakers using these stats to make the case for stricter gun control. We know this doesn't work. We're calling on the Trump admin to step in and break this insane cycle of violent crime. And here's an idea for the Trump administration. Any effort to make America safe again should start by making our nation's capital safe again. Congress's exclusive jurisdiction over the district and action to rein in the city's crime crisis could create a compelling example for the nation. And when members of Congress are being carjacked and juveniles commit nearly 60% of these violent offenses, the feds must act. Our nation's capital should be a shining example of law and order, not a cesspool of violent crime. And another thing that we have to make Congress do is send the National Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act to the president's desk. This will empower everyday Americans to protect themselves and their loved ones in public. The policy itself will have a deterrent effect. Criminals won't act where their targets or bystanders may shoot back. It is crucial that all Americans can exercise this right, including across state lines, and President Trump has already given his support.
I will protect the right of self-defense everywhere it is under siege, and I will sign concealed carry reciprocity.
And you might be asking, is there anything the next administration can do to help prevent mass shootings? Well, we think there is. First, the White House should proactively help law enforcement arrest and prosecute true threats, a highly successful but underfunded tool to combat threats of mass violence. Remember the attack in Appalachia High School shooting? This was a failure of law enforcement to take the killer's threats seriously. But GOA found 19 examples of law enforcement preventing mass public violence by arresting and prosecuting dangerous individuals for making true threats against schools in just 1 month preceding the Appalachia High School attack. That's not a red flag law that takes the gun away and leaves a killer at large. This is a way to arrest and prosecute criminals who make imminent threats of mass violence. The Supreme Court even recently upheld laws against making actionable threats of violence in a recent Supreme Court case, Counterman v. Colorado. And second, the Trump administration should also urge the press to voluntarily mitigate the media contagion effect and begin denying mass killers the attention that motivates them to commit these crimes in the first place. News outlets would be encouraged to adopt voluntary practices such as avoiding the use of names and photographs of mass killers in their coverage. GOA worked with Senator Mike Lee and Rep. Andy Ogles to introduce a bill that lays out some responsible journalistic practices for the media to debate and/or adopt. Clinical psychologist Jordan Peterson has spoken on this phenomenon many times and even endorsed Senator Lee's bill because this is all supported by academic research. Here's exactly what Jordan Peterson had to say. We could choose as a society to make mass shootings exceedingly rare as they once were. However, doing so will require the press and anyone else who has the attention of a wide swath of the public to withhold from the mass shooters what they all desperately and murderously desire: fame. As a practicing clinical and research psychologist, and as someone who has studied the darkest recesses of the human psyche for 40 years, I can state with near certainty that wannabe mass shooters would cease wreaking havoc on the innocent and society if, at large, we stopped rewarding them with the notoriety they will sacrifice anything to attain. The approach outlined in the resolutions introduced by Senator Lee and Representative Ogles would, if followed, make mass shootings a thing of the past. This can be done by depoliticizing crime and self-defense data. Americans knew the Biden administration was playing fast and loose with crime statistics, and we've seen them move to censor self-defense statistics at the whim of the gun control industrial complex. Honest reporting of the facts and removing censorship implemented by partisan actors will help to restore faith that our administrative agencies are mission-focused and not compromised by political thinking. That means proper crime statistics from FBI. They also need to fix their active shooter data, which misses many mass public murders that are stopped by armed civilians every year. And of course, CDC needs to restore self-defense statistics to their website. Of course, the Biden admin censored peer-reviewed and government-funded surveys that showed there are potentially millions of defensive gun uses per year in the USA. Anti-gunners don't like this data because it explains why so many Americans are unwilling to give up their guns. So President Trump has an incredible opportunity to seize the narrative from the opposition on how to reduce crime. Voters in red states and blue states alike rejected President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris's hyperbolic anti-gun grandstanding and soft on crime policies by giving the president-elect his commanding electoral college and popular vote wins. Now it's time for Washington to get to work for the people. By executing the concrete steps that I've laid out, the president-elect can leave a lasting impression on voters and demonstrate how we actually make America safe again. That's why we need every patriot watching to help start this conversation. We made the Second Amendment an issue in the election. Now we have to build off that momentum and keep forcing the issue till Congress and the president start following through on their promises. Anyways, that's it for today. I'll see you guys next time.